It's been well known that for the last couple of years, iPhone sales have been decreasing more and more. And that is due to a variety of different factors, from the post-pandemic massive inflation, to a big amount of Android competitors, even the largest ones like Samsung and Google, just becoming so blatant with copying Apple's hardware, but none of those are nowhere near the primary factor of the decreasing sales, which is just people are keeping their phones for longer and longer nowadays. Phones have pretty much hit their peak, and there is not much more significant improvements that can be made. I mean, my mom is still using the 11 Pro Max from 5 years ago that I got her, and I have to say, it's still a great phone all around, even way more than she would ever need. But this year in particular, I would especially advise all my viewers to skip this year's 16 Pro and much rather opt in for last year's Pro model if you're in a search for a new phone, and here's a couple of reasons why. The primary selling point of all the new iPhones is the Apple Intelligence that got announced this summer, and there you truly see how there's not much more that can be done on the hardware side of things, so they're rather focusing on the software. It actually offers a bunch of new useful features and makes a very bold statement that the new Siri is finally getting better. One big issue is that none of the new phones will be coming with Apple Intelligence out of the box, and will slowly be implementing more and more features in the next few months, but the Siri improvements are something that I'm looking forward to the most. From the moment I started using the 15 Pro, the only action I ever had the action button do for me is opening a voice conversation with ChatGPT, since I use it almost every day for so many things. So finally integrating all that with Siri, and being able to just with voice do so much more, like rescheduling calendar events, sending or searching for specific photos with your family, organizing notes and reminders, and sharing location and much more, is something that I'm really looking forward to. Now, the good news is that all of these cool and new exciting features are coming to the last year's Pro models as well, which is also a very bad and unfortunate news for everyone else that uses any other model. Now, something that you can use for any other iPhone is my absolute favorite iPhone accessory, which is this 3-in-1 charging station from a channel sponsor, Cookshoe. This is by far the most practical charging stand I've seen. When unfolded, I can perfectly use it as an iPhone stand on my desk, since I use the standby mode every day, but then my favorite aspect comes into play. When I'm traveling somewhere, it so easily collapses into this tiny square that you can literally put in your pocket. So after getting to wherever I need to be, I just take it out, plug it in, and charge everything all at once effortlessly. So if you want to get the X40 charger for yourself, or anything else from their website, which I really recommend, click the link in the description and use promo code PAVLE to get 10% off your purchase. Now, the new camera system is obviously amazing like every year, but it's still somewhat of a small improvement over the last generation. It's so evident that they just want to completely erase any need for a professional camera at this point, hence stuff like 4K at 120 FPS. But that is still something that just a small fraction of people will actually use. I mean, how many people are shooting a log on the 15 Pro? There are some upgrades though that I would generally appreciate using, like a much more nuanced photographic styles that can even be implemented after taking a shot. So essentially now you have something like a bunch of professional Lightroom presets all on your device. The new capture button is also interesting, with them clearly trying to push for more horizontal video shooting, which is the only correct one, by the way, thank you Apple. But apart from that, it's just a little bit more convenience. Now, one of the biggest reasons, for me at least, why I think last year's camera system on the 15 Pro in specific is superior to the Pro Max and this year's models as well, is this 5x telephoto camera. And I heard almost no one talking about this, but I find 3x just perfect for taking portraits. The gap between the 2x and 5x is so large that you actually start noticing the decrease in quality after like 4 times magnification. And if you're shooting portrait, you need to move so much further back than you usually would. From the very beginning, I just didn't like this trend that the market is constantly pushing towards, of phones having more and more zoom. Like, when will you ever need 100x zoom on a phone? I mean, unless you're just being creepy. Even Samsung has finally realized that, and on the S24 moved back to 5 times optical zoom from 10 times. I just hope that next year, when the 17 Pro Max or Ultra, wherever it will be called, moves to the first try 48 megapixel camera layout, that they will go back to the 3x magnification like the Samsung did. Since then, like on the wide camera, you will also be able to crop in 2 times and get the same picture quality, which will essentially be 6 times magnification. So it will still be an improvement from this year. Now, Apple has for years sadly been pushing this agenda of bigger and bigger phones, which is totally opposite of the original Steve Jobs ideology. You can, by the way, check out my video on why the mini iPhone got extinct, it will be linked down below. And for the past quite a few years actually, the standard has been 6.1 inches. And then when it came to the 15 Pro, they kept that same display size, but just trimmed away even more of the bezels. So we got the smallest Pro iPhone since the 11, which was 5.8 inches. And I'm constantly being reminded of that while I'm using it, since it's so light because of the titanium compared to the stainless steel that I used before, and it also fits perfectly in your hand. Yes, they again trimmed down the sides even more than before, and I gotta give them credit, these displays are so cool looking since they almost appear like floating with no bezel at all, but they still increased the sizes to 6.3 and 6.9 inches. I remember back when I was a kid, there were 7-inch tablets. So this display size increase is nothing negligible. And if you like smaller, more compact phones, the 15 Pro is the last Pro iPhone that can truly be considered small. Now the last, and arguably the most important reason on why you should skip this year's Pro models, is that now you will be able to find the 15 Pro for $900 or less. Even currently, there are sales on Amazon for like $850 or $800. And when you stand back and look at the whole picture, with last year's models, you're still getting Apple Intelligence. The cameras that are every year the primary focus are again just marginally better. Some other stuff like the size or a telephoto camera, I would argue, are even in favor of last year's models. And with everything else remaining more or less the same, if you're currently looking for a new phone and also want to save some money, I would say that now is the best time ever to go for the 15 Pro. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Click the like button if you enjoyed it and subscribe to see more of my content that is coming really soon. Thanks for watching.